overclockers, and welcome. Oh, screw this. Where's EPIC when you need him?
Walk in, even.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh wait, we're already on.
Oh.
Hello everybody, welcome
we
back.
could hear us?
I know, it's ridiculous, right? It feels as if so much time has passed, yet so little time has passed at the same time. So many games going on in the LAN hall, completely encapsulated by it, I feel.
Yeah, talking about, you're talking about times and lots of games, Hazza.
Yeah.
We don't have lots of games anymore. We
No.
have 3 left. It's been a long, arduous couple of days.
Yeah.
A long couple of brackets, a lot of group games. And finally, Hazza, we're down to 4 teams.
But the day's not done yet.
Not done.
Kyrocast. The day
Not
is not done yet. We have 2 more games. Both of these are in the lower bracket. These teams have experienced defeat before, and 1 more will be enough to send them packing. We have 3 teams left. The first of the games that we will be showing is Insight versus Jokers. This then for a place in the lower bracket final up against the Control Esports, who unfortunately lost to Next in Line, which have already locked their place in the grand final. And how many people could say they saw that one coming?
No, certainly did not, but could see the promise in that roster. They said, every time we talk about Next in Line, we talk about how they said everyone has underestimated them. They have a point to prove, and what a way to lay the gauntlet down.
Yeah.
Than qualifying for the grand final and through the upper brackets.
And it just makes the lower bracket that much more exciting. The storylines have built across the last couple of days, like you said. You have a rematch on the cards for Insight if they're able to get this win against Jokers for Control. That then plays into factor as well about, not necessarily anti-stratting, but reading into the rhythms of play, how rematches tend to go when we see them in Valorant when that expectation is there. For Jokers, it's just keeping the ball rolling on over. They went up against Next in Line, lost. That's now obviously the team that would await them in the grand final if they can get a rematch on their hands. But even then, Control is another bump in a very long road for them, because just looking at the bracket here, the way it's developed is remarkable. Like Cleek even as well, dropping out. I think after that loss they had yesterday against Jokers, you started to see those imperfections, and they've come to light more and more as time has gone on.
I mean, even to sit down and look at it from here, Hazza, the fact that we both have Insight and Cleek, number 1 and number 2, fighting at the lower bracket, it's just crazy, man.
Yeah, Jokers here as well in the last game that they played, a 3-mapper against John Howard. They lost the first, their own pick of Split, before then heading into Haven, I believe it was, and then finally Ascent to wrap things up, or the other way around, I should say, Haven being John Howard's specialty, throwing in the Euro to the comp, but not working to the extent that they would perhaps have liked, as we are just waiting now to get into what should be a very entertaining matchup. Insight, top-seeded team coming into this tournament, but they've had a bit of a tricky time in making it through some of these games after having that flawless run in groups.
Yeah, they have made things pretty interesting, Hazza. One thing that we do and haven't spoken about yet is obviously the maps that need to come up on the screen. And look at that, just as I see it, it's like a little magical wand that I've got.
Rafa Benitez.
Yeah, exactly. It's that's it. We'll get text to try and get that to happen.
Yeah, no, look, we've got to speak about the picks and bans that we have here. Lotus, the insta-ban for Insight, it has been throughout the weekend anyway, but this is also a map which Jokers have been very comfortable on, so not too surprising there. Fractures banned out by Jokers, Insight strong on that one too, and then the picks. Icebox into Haven and finishing on Ascent. Both teams feeling comfortable on Ascent. It was the final map in the series that we've just seen Jokers play against John Howard, but starting out on Icebox, for Insight here, I find this to be a very interesting one.
It is a very interesting one.
Yeah?
I've just realised I've done it again.
What have you done?
I've left this on.
The lanyard.
I'll do the exact same thing I did last time. like me taking this off.
It's time to take the hand wraps off because the gloves are coming off, and it's time to get into game. I know.
If we actually have people in the chat, they must be like, oh,
of course there's people in the chat.
These two idiots again, like talking nonsense, man. But yeah,
chatting rubbish.
First game up, Icebox, really big Insight map. They played it before against Click,
yeah, they did.
And they really made it work. 13-10 it ended up, and they felt as if they actually threw rounds, that the scoreline wasn't actually representative of how they played.
Yeah. They did look very strong in it. It was a very strong attacking side from which they started off, and then, you begin to hemorrhage a few rounds here and there. The term will always be thrown if you speak to anyone there. And speaking of throws, let's throw it into game and get a look at what the agents are going to be in the selection phase here.
Well, straight away, we are not expecting much of a budge in terms of the comps being played, but we're watching a very interesting team, Hazza.
Yes.
And we casted this chamber pick last night.
We certainly did, right? Jokers playing with 3 Sentinels. The only one missing, of course, is Cypher, but Cognizant did that, and, well, they're not here to tell the tale, so I think that gives a good reflection of how that ended up going. But I think more than anything else, right, you're looking at Azzy here on the chamber being a 1-for-1 replication, or I should say replacement for the jet pick. And he's been using it to great effect. He feels more comfortable on it. You get a little bit more on your defender's side. They'll be starting out on the attack, but we'll just have to see what happens. Azzy also a player who is very comfortable playing on the op, even on the attacking side, actually, and we'll have to see how that pans out.
Yeah, I mean, Azzy really has to be a conduit for Jokers to play through. And that aggression, the fact that they will be able to take a shot and then dip out, etc. These are big. I guess a big kind of aspect to the game of Jokers. But one thing that we have to say though, Insight Gaming did catch a little bit of the Jokers' best of 3 against Click. So this is something else that might lead into Insight having an idea of what Jokers want to do.
It's a long road ahead for Jokers if they do want to make it towards that lower final, and then grand final, of course, will be the one to tick all the boxes. Like you mentioned, I think Azzy here is going to be imperative to Joker's success. As a team, right, they're made out of a bunch of leaders. Usually your IGL isn't your most mechanically gifted. That was the role that he fulfilled on Into the Breach, but we know his capability. Already Insight looking to probe down towards mid as Jokers find their way on towards B.
Big presence in towards mid. And Inox getting one of those picks, though, at least trading it out even. It will mean that they have less control, but already in towards the spike plan.
They're completely giving away the side. Shock dart there on towards the default plant as well to make sure there were no nanos, no stopping power for Insight to keep them at bay with, but they're going to have to slowly make their way back through. The Sage player is still up, got to be looking towards that wall. Couple pings coming through, and as he is pinging off headshots as well, Ego trades it out. Both of them leading from the front here as the wall does come in, trying to play around it. Halsey still up close. Bully pokes one out, and there we go. Halsey as well getting involved. Every single part of Jokers pulling in the same direction. They take the pistol round.
Taking that first round is absolutely massive. Insight just missing out. The trade that they were able to get on towards the Sova just meant they couldn't initiate properly in towards that retake. Has a lot of information missing, and maybe those shock darts could have had more impact as well.
We saw Insight a little bit spread out in the retake there. Anguis, the first point of contact that they had, but not quite getting a grip of Yellow in that position. And now Jokers look to head towards A. There's a bit of a stack here. And well, for the first time, actually, because they're not walking up mid here, Insight are keeping a wrap on what's going on B. So we'll have to see how quick that rotate is.
Well, the fact that there is that gamble stack there's more than enough to deal with how with what Jokers have in their pocket.
Guess you're not gambling too much when you still have the turret up in kitchen, but Stokesy gambles his life, puts it on the line and gets taken out.
Yep, literally now getting at least a little trade back on towards Azzy, but it's trades left, right and centre here, Azza, with a spike planted and an advantage towards Jokers with the better weaponry. This is looking very, very comfortable.
It's always going to favour Insight in this position as well. One more kill, and this round is incredibly healthy. Jokers have bought in quite a bit. You know, you can see the rifles there, Phantom and Vandal. You need those for your bonus. As long as you carry those through, I guess it's fine, but still, you don't want to have to rebuy any more than is necessary.
Problem is, the Sage just picked up, oh sorry, the Viper of Jaff just picked up a Spectre. That headshot's beautiful on towards Inox as they peek through. Jaff gets another, but just not enough in the chamber, Hazza.
I mean, that is ridiculous though from Insight. We've got Jaff picking up 2 kills there, and that's one of the rifles gone. You have 3 players left, and usually you want, bring 3 players out the round. I guess you have the Spectre there as well, sweetens the deal, but then losing out on either one of the Vandal or the Phantom, not ideal. And as a response, we have seen Jokers just fully buy into this. Both teams economy knife edge.
Yeah, this is going to be... I mean, you want to talk about gamble rounds, you want to talk about gambling with the potential map. I mean, Jokers are really doing it now.
This is Insight's pick, so they'll want to get started, get underway sooner rather than later. Jokers picking up this one bodes very well for how they're playing. Of course, it was a reverse sweep in that game against John Howard, so confidence at an all-time high. As he's just sitting behind this turret right now, things have slowed down. They look to try and hit towards B yet again. But for the first time, Jaff, the king of yellow, is posted up a little deeper.
Doesn't want to peek up too much. Peeks out though, and straight away punishing it. Hazza, we are going to see Molly's just invested, just to delay a little bit longer, but the barrier orb already destroyed. The spike not attempted, but look at this deep plant by Bully.
And now this is where we need to look at Azzy's position. As soon as I mention it, he's taken out, and yeah, that deep plant on the spike may not even be coming through, because the kills found by Insight Gaming mean that there just isn't enough control, enough bodies on the line for Jokers to have the control they were looking for. That lurk getting cut out early will really hurt them, but Halsey has found a flank, and now it's back to a 2 versus 2.
Halsey finding that flank puts him in such a good position. Coma getting healed up, getting the pick on towards Litchi as well. Insight Gaming are falling apart.
And there's no reason for them to peek. He's spotted out both shoulders, Ego, but Comet takes 3, and so too to Jokers. Convert the bonus, if you could call it that. Everything invested into the round, and it pays dividends.
Hazza. Oh, Jokers, the giant slayers. Is that what we're seeing? Is this going to be like Jack and the beanstalk almost?
Everyone says David versus Goliath, so I find it great that you've put in Jack versus the Jack and the beanstalk, I should say, right? But yeah, from speaking to Comet yesterday as well, he said to me, look, how out of all the lands that they've participated in, mixtures of this core, just him personally, in the games that he's had, he's never gone through groups undefeated, but, made those late playoff runs, been on stage at big events before. Perhaps this is just what they like, that little bit of added pressure to incentivize.
Yeah, they have found out Jaff here, and they will start to move through. Jokers getting in and putting down the barrier orb, just as almost as expected, Hazza. The spike finally being committed, and the snake bite's not really hitting the mark. They won't be able to deny as the Sage's health goes down, dwindles. But this is going to be a full retake, 5 versus 5.
Yeah, we see a reversal of the post plant they played last time. A lot more restricted, but it has enabled this flank to come through. Might not even be needed. Inox just cuts them apart. Flawless in the end. Bully finally introduced from that mid position through Kitchen. And there we have it, Jokers with their 4th. This one, a little less laboured of an affair, and I think this is the reason why we see the deeper plant as well, instead of really trying to take control of the site, because when you have the better weaponry, you can just hold these angles, let him run into the line of fire of Inox, and he takes down 4.
Well, the difference in terms of setup by Insight this time, Hazza, is there is a big barrow looking down B long. That's going to be very good for just kind of holding control. That's where most of the action has been. Jokers changing up that conditioning, though.
It's interesting to see Ego here on the operator and what value that could find. It's an A hit. Right, this is the worst case scenario, really, if you are buying into the most expensive weapon in the game. Aldrone comes out, gets the ping to Litchi, has to fall back in screens, but there are players here to cover. Looks as if they've started to move in. Stokesy just waiting with the Aldrone. Needs to find his mark as the Viper's pit is up, but Bully gets taken down, so there is an advantage momentarily.
After the res invested. 2 big ultimates used up by Jokers in this scenario. And at that point, I was about to say, as the retake comes through, how well or how much value are they actually going to get from this situation? The up already getting 1.
Yeah, you do have the Sova and the Viper still alive with your Killjoy. They can just look to play post-plant. As long as Comet is up close, keeping this pit online, there's so much to do with. Bully's used the Nano Swarms, but now Inox is down. Coming in through the back, looking to try and play the flank, but there isn't too much time, and there may not be players in support either. Ego finding one. Hunter's Fury from Halsey slowing things down and actually taking a pick. Second ping on into the corner. They know where Litchi is. They don't know about Bully, but they found him out. Halsey not in a position to contest this one late on. And just by under a quarter of a second, a fifth even, Insight Gaming find their first.
0.2 left of 1 second, Hazza. That is a fifth of a second. That's all Halsey needed.
Yeah, and all Bully has to do is pull Litchi from that defuse, but he sticks it the full way through. And just like that, Insight Gaming find their first. And think about the ult economy of Jokers. How many did we see invested? Viper's Pit, the Res, and then the Hunter's Fury to try and confirm the round, which didn't go their way.
We'll talk about investment. Here's another big one themselves. The op being brought through by Jokers. I don't think Insight were able to bring theirs through from the last round, has either.
Testing towards mid from Inox, trying to catch out Anguist, who's loitering around this position. Nice use of the snakebite up, round and over. Flicked onto a spot so they can't peek out. Jaff testing. Also shows a bit of themselves. Inox just constantly buying time, pulling players away from the A site so the execute can come in, and it begins to.
Yeah, now we really need to see Jokers at least gain an advantage from somewhere. Where that somewhere is, I do not have a clue! As he finds it though, finds the opportunity, finds a gap, and well, abuses it.
The op finally introduced, and with this lockdown invested, it gives him a chance to move up onto an even more aggressive angle when Insight have to retake. Speaking of the retake, Anguist back on his feet, goes for the challenge and loses out. Flank also starting to materialize. Comet fighting the front lines but losing out.
Yeah, now we're going to see another lockdown invested here, Hazard. This is massive. This is going to have to be a do or die situation. Do you fight or do you throw a bomb? Anguist decides to fight and puts Jokers to the sword.
Absolutely brilliant stuff. Inox just trying to work for this one, and well, if he takes Anguist there, the round perhaps looks a whole lot different. In fact, as he was able to do it, but this guy would simply refuse to die and ends up killing everyone that laid in his wake. Lots of ults invested yet again, but you know, a little heavier on the Insight side this time around. Just the one lockdown coming out from Bully. We saw a whole lot more from Insight there as a Blaze Storm 2 on the flank, Litchi with the res. But both teams using the op there. This time around, Ego will be the one with it in hand, and it's back to the same setup on B, yet to be tested by Jokers.
I mean, B has been working the last two attacks on towards A haven't, but a lot of it has had ultimates involved. Obviously, Insight coming out the better of the two in that.
I think the fact that the ops here is what makes it different. The first shot rings off. The owl drone broken, but the information gained by Jokers.
Yeah, well, they know exactly. They're not going to want to contact us. It's a nice little place at the trademark. Yes, it takes 3 seconds to come up.
Hello, he's gone for the peek, and fair play to him. The man has taken the kill with him. A lot of damage in return. I mean, if you steal candy from a kid, they're probably going to cry in your face, and it's a littering of bullets that have been sprayed in his general direction.
Trap destroyed.
Oh, they've lost the control out in towards B long. They know that now. They know that they've pushed up and cleared them out. It has to be A now, Hazza, as they start to move up in towards mid, as he gets on towards Jab. This Hunter's Fury is not hitting. All it would have taken is at least one hit, but the op does the exact same thing, does the exact same power. There's a couple of trades going back and forth, but look at this, Insight once again coming out trump.
Spike out in the open as well. Bully's position now known as the turret fires off. Wants to zipline into an area where he can find out Anguist. Just take any kind of kill before looking to pick up and play the objective. Insight for 3. This has just been a brilliant turnaround. Thriving in the chaos. Some of these rounds, seeing Jokers try and force this mid control quite a few times, and perhaps it's not been playing out the way that they'd hoped.
Timeout being called by Jokers after losing 3 in a row. The fact that Hunter's Fury just misses out on Azzy as well as he's vulnerable.
Yeah.
Literally.
The double damage,
that
right?
Would have been, that's literally all it would have taken is one smash of that Hunter's Fury.
Yeah, it was 80 damage per hit. That brings you to 160.
Oh, yeah.
A bit quick maths. You know, I passed my maths GCSE. Mate, you do your GCSE, you never look back, right? You're never picking that up anything further than that.
What level? Like, I don't even know what the Scottish equivalent is for GCSE. I'm not getting into it.
Who knows?
Yeah,
we won't. That's a story for another time. But speaking of the time that Jokers have right now, they're talking things over. And I think it's important that we see the timeout come here and perhaps not a round or so later.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. The fact is you need to speak before your next buy round because Insight Gaming have really turned around the progression of what this game has been. I don't think we'll see an investment here. I mean, Bully is brought up into a Guardian, but it's going to be few and far between. Ego's now got the Operator, starting to feel himself in that department, and you just start to wonder what Jokers need to do differently to make things work here, because it seems to be a gap of incredibly fine margin right now.
Yeah. Well, it's a gap of incredibly fine margins. It's realistically going to be an equilibrium when we see the next rifle round. But maybe the tour de force and the buy-up of the Guardian could be something to talk about.
I mean, how many times did we see Azzy have success with some kind of scoped weapon in the game yesterday? Already saw the alarm bot in mid, but it hasn't been broken. They've actually just decided to trade utility in that department. Both Killjoys giving each other mutual respect and mutual control of that area. Neither team really playing through it. You have Comet to perhaps arrive at the party late, but right now we have to be looking at Ego on the off of his own. Close up and personal, takes out Inox and just fades away.
Yeah, makes it look easy. Barrier Orb waiting to be invested by Litchi means that they have to go around the long way and engage these rifles. We know what the high fire rate can do at this situation. They're already going to break it though. They catch it while the Sage Wall is at the weaker of the two.
I think Bully will have just spotted Ego here as well. Catches the shoulder, tries to find the kill, can't do it. Comet gets it up close and personal. Barrier Orb of his own invested. But the spike's still not safe to be planted. You've got so many players laying in wait and the utility is there to follow it up. The drone just clipping at their heels, chasing them further and further back as time continues to dwindle here. Jokers need to press the offensive. Try and find something. It's not their investment. But we've got upgrades. Ego's still holding onto this angle and just about in the corner. Comet can find the plant they need.
Yep, Stokesy finding the kills that they need though, Jokers. Well, it is going to be a situation where it's go big or go home. Well, maybe not go home just yet. Comet will send a couple though. Back to the spawn.
You'll send a warning back to them. Try it when there's a couple less of you this time around. Pick on someone your own size and you may live to regret it. We saw Comet in the previous game as well, and the amount of clutches this guy is pulling out. I mean, the whole of Jokers have a lot of clutch potential there as well. These are smart-minded players, and it is those micro maneuvers that are really paying off for them.
It really is that scenario where you look at it and it's like if you were to put like 5 1vx players into a roster, how would it look?
Literally that, right? It's a social. I think this roster is like a social experiment. They've just thrown it into Beacon to make things a little more interesting. But no, they are doing very well at this point in time. That wasn't the round you look at. That wasn't the round that you built the timeout on. Now we have to see what kind of ideas can be introduced from Jokers. They've tested the B, got an idea of what that looks like. Now we see where they look to head.
Just a little peek out, gives away contact that, well, we are seeing the Jet aggress from Tube. Shoots out the turret. I mean, it's more information lost. Bully now has to at least pin up or keep control of that mid position. But look at the stack from Insight here.
Yeah, Insight very, very comfortable to just play off of Anguist's utility on A. Has the alarm bot posted for mid as well, and players on deeper angles holding on. If you're Jokers right now, you've seen Ego, that's the information you can collect, and this A hit, I think, is probably going to be the best of eventualities for them if they're able to pick up that kill. In towards the retake, there's a Viper's Pit there as well. Insight have fully gambled on it not being towards this side of the map, but I mean, there is utility and stopping power to make this a more laboured affair for Jokers.
I mean, there's plenty of stopping power, and no, I was about to say there's plenty of stopping power with these rifles, Hazard, and they come to life. That's exactly what happens. 2 picks already found, and the site completely under control. The op finally firing off from Ego, but it doesn't actually find anything. 43 loss of armor points. How's he still there? And as he takes out Ego.
Oh, and as he's just going to look so good from this position when he's posted up. Halsey looks even better. Finds 2 kills as the wall breaks. He takes the kill, and Jokers have that lead back. And it wasn't too easy, but they found the gap, right? They tested both sides of the map, worked out what the setup looks like if you are Insight Gaming, and made the correct decision on the buy round that they had invested. Now, the eco looking a bit healthier. Same can't be said for Insight. You lost your op on the previous. You bought into it again, but still a sort of more difficult chance to turn something here. And if you don't, then it's going to be a couple more for Jokers, and that is something that which they can build on coming into the second half.
Turret just firing off once again. It's the exact same start as last round.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, I guess we're seeing Jokers really default, find out exactly where the weaknesses are on the map from Insight.
The difference is this time around we've now seen Ego off the back of that initial peak rotate to A instead and post up on a different angle, anticipating the push to be coming through. I think it's safe to say Jokers have looked better on their attack in the games that they've played. Perhaps that leans into how they prefer to call things. Look at this late mid push here coming through from Stokes. He breaks the alarm bot, information taken.
2 big massive bits of utility traded in the alarm
bot the spike.
And the barrier orb.
They have the spike here. Anguist is just holding on to this with the Vandal, and I think that Jokers are aware of this position as well. They just want to be cautious that it isn't that operator which was seen in the early stages of the round.
Yeah, well, they've already isolated in towards Anguist. Just escapes with a life hazard. That Viper orb that we'll see in so many games coming through. Jaff getting spammed out. The shock darts coming through. The engagement's being taken. It's an even trade for both Vipers. Anguist coming through with a huge collateral lineup, whatever you want to call it. As he gets one back though, we're down to 2 versus 3. Make it 2 versus 2.
As he's going to need a whole lot more if he wants to win the round. Something even more heroic than what he displayed yesterday. Won't happen. Ego up with the shorty, shoots him down, and now we're back to a level standing yet again. Both these teams going blow for blow, round for round. Anguist there lining up a few more as well on the Killjoy. Just collating players, taking them out one by one.
Oh, man.
And Insight, look at their economy.
Yeah,
it's not even fully settled from the ramifications off the previous.
I was just going to talk about that mid push in general. I understand that the kind of Jokers had to somewhat give a bit of presence. They thought they could get a pick there, and I felt as if they could have taken their foot off the gas just that little bit, but at the same time, I can't really remember what time the execute was chosen on, so that might be a kind of mistaken point.
I think it's using the Hunter's Fury towards the snow pile there as well to just isolate that duel onto Jaff, make it more difficult, put the pressure on where they can, and the pressure is really on Insight here in this round as well, because like we said, they don't have the best credits. Jokers from the attacking side is always going to be a much more favourable cycle of economy, especially when you can get that spike planted. Couldn't in the previous, but the reserves were there.
2 away, 2 rounds left. This obviously being the penultimate round of this half. I mean, whoever wins this has the advantage to take an advantage in towards the next half, and that's going to be massive. That's even bigger.
Oh, Litchi holding on to a few too many angles. Stokesy finding that one, however, as Inox is first in. How many times have we seen this guy go for an aggressive peek on the Viper? No smokes now to help entry to the site. But one thing they do have in the back pocket now is the use of that lockdown. Force things to an even deeper angle. Stokesy with a shock. Snakebite is also there, double up that damage and drop a player 150 HP. Doesn't look to happen. Insight have a lockdown of their own. Anguist is close and wants to try and take this kill. The spam is perfect. The spike's not even planted, and there's less than 15 seconds left.
Oh, that's even bigger. Halsey assaulting in, clears the space through, and they've brought it all the way down to 3 versus... Well, I was about to say 3 versus 1. It's 3 versus 0, and the biggest play there was Halsey going deep, doubling up and getting the kills.
I mean, it's that aggression, right? Like you said, doubling up and having a set reaction to when that spike is not able to go down. We see the res come through because Inox is first in. And yeah, I mean, they've looked to then just go ahead and fight it. And that's what you have to do in that situation. Keep that pressure on that we were speaking about. And now Jokers with the opportunity to take this to a 7-5 half from the attacking side.
Stokesy straight away calls that timeout after that round.
Yeah.
Not happy with how his team is playing. And on top of that, not happy with the buy that they've got. I mean, yes, you've got a res, yes, you've got a lockdown, but if you can't go until 1 versus 1 and be confident, then what chance have you got?
Yeah, last few rounds, these teams going blow for blow. Trading out those timeouts as well, I think, which is fair enough. We saw as soon as Comet invested it, yeah, you had that low buy, but then they've managed to turn results on their head for the most part. Operator in the hands of Azzy here as well. Looking at what Insight have to bring forward, you still have that lockdown. So I wonder how they want to try and play this, because I mean, there is a world here where Stokesy selflessly manages to buy Ego into an op, but it looks like he will just be playing a Sheriff. Stokesy takes the Vandal for himself. Or a Marshal. I mean, look, they're playing gun roulette at this point. Yeah,
exactly. Remember, it was Ego to use the Blade Storm in that last round. That's a big loss. If there's anything to be taken from this first map, is that these two will not let up so far. I said first half. Sorry, first map, I meant first half. Litchi taking the aggression, finds Inox, that's an upgrade.
It should be. It gives the rifle back to Jaff, so as the Vandal puts the barrier orb up, and Jokers need to deal with this, because this is a lot of control that Insight Gaming have already collected towards B.
Yeah.
As long as that wall stays up and they know there isn't a gap, I mean, Jokers can't walk past it. They cannot simply be any further than that point. I think there might just be enough room to work around it, and we do see the rotate come through. Stokesy in the mid round, yet again, just testing what mid looks like.
Yeah, exactly. Just testing what people are up to. Nice little info dart here. Will give away at least 1 or 2, and it will. There's the pings. Know exactly where this Sage is, and I mean, your Sage is not exactly, you know what I mean, not exactly a lurker. This could be the main push if you're Insight watching this right now.
I mean, they're playing background into this area, but Insight have read this perfectly. It's a similar setup to what they had before. Killjoy on A, the rest of the players grouped up B. Litchi has support here from Ego, but it's only a Marshal. What can he create?
Oh no. They've not cleared Litchi!
Oh,
that was a headshot. And it's Azzy once again on low HP. Halsey gets another. They're completely doing this exact same push, except this time they've got a barrier orb to support it.
Yeah, Jaff on ADS. Anguis needs space to get this lockdown invested. Last round and a half, have to do it. Bully takes the kill instead. Still alive and kicking inside the site, tucked to the corner. Stokesy finishes him off. His former teammate now dead. And it's all on Stokesy to win out the round. He closed the previous series against Click with a 1 versus 3, and to open things up, he'd have to go one step further. Can't finish the job as he does with the Operator. A big round from him too. I mean, it was a headshot from Litchi on the Phantom there to him. 140 and snap like that as he responds, and they take the round.
Well, Hazard, first half done. One thing to talk about. You were talking about how you were saying, do you know something? Jokers have been pretty decent on their attacking half most of the time. I'm going to throw your mind back to Jokers defending side on Icebox.
Yeah. I mean, I think that whole Icebox game, you can put it in a picture frame, hang it up in Le Louvre.
Oh, yeah, it was
because it was the Frenchman, in the server at least, in the form of Chamber, Azzy being him, that was going ridiculous from the defensive side.
Azzy was him. It felt like a fever dream watching that, thinking back to it.
And that was against Click as well. One of the second highest rated team in the tournament. Insight being the first. That lack of respect that he showed was absolutely huge. And he's going to have to go one step further here. They do have the advantage. Insight want to take the pistol, and they take the first kill through Stokesy.
Yeah, they do indeed. Bully gets that kill on towards Ego. Remember, Bully has teamed with the IGL of Stokesy, so might have an idea of what's happening, but might not at the same time. It might be in a complete change of styles. There is a nice little heal on towards the KJ there, but at this point in time, Jokers are having to retake so far back because of that KJ turret being destroyed.
Do have utility to work with. Halsey has both his shocks, won't get the recon online just in time. I think they have the barrier orb to work with as well. Jaff still kicking just underneath the site, perched up. Bully needs to find it, but won't be able to. Another of his former teammates will dish out the damage as he getting a kill on the Sheriff in the site, moving forward 3v3. But like you say, time is running thick and fast out of their control. And just like that, every single remaining player on Insight finds a kill for themselves and finds the pistol round for their team.
Big round. I mean, again, Insight just went like that. We're going to pull the trigger, didn't take the foot off the gas. Straight through mid, straight on towards B. I mean, the gunfights were the kind of coin flip there, but they were able to win it.
And you look at the way that Insight were playing their B defense as well. There was lots of utility to hold them back, but losing out Inox early on there makes it fairly difficult then coming into that position, into the retake, not having those Viper mollies to just slow down the default plant, anything of the sort. And Bully's pushed up aggressive. They've already seen him just running, scurrying past like something out of a cartoon. The animated character gets dropped. And that's 2 opening picks here for Insight.
One thing that we have to say as well, Hazel, on that last retake, I mean, the fact that the KG turret got destroyed in Kitchen meant that Jokers had to retake back so far that, you know what I mean, you have to clear Kitchen to make sure there's not a lurker. In this position, I mean, the Sage, there was nothing really to talk about there from Jokers because they just got kind of picked up one by one, and Insight just got the spike down. Extra eco, extra ultimate orbs, and well, an extra round.
Just seeing it again here with Bully just running knife out. I like the idea, I like the ambition, and that's something that you can afford to risk in a round like that. But here, the stakes amplified. A full investment from Jokers, and a full set of rifles, except for the Spectre in the hands of Jokesy here on Insight. You've got that Bulldog as well, I suppose, but they're fully well stocked coming into this.
Pretty well stocked, Hazard. Pretty well stocked indeed, but I tell you what else they've got. Oh, wait a minute, just spam comes through here. I know, maybe overstaying their welcome,
And I mean, no care really taken. Both Snakebites tossed out at the expense of a lot of damage. Comet will be coming through on the rotate to heal. Not sure if Insight want to read into that fact and go for anything, but doesn't look like it.
Something that has to be said though, Hazard, this is E-Masters in its core. Stokesy going for a B-long default and then dropping back. This is something that we've seen so many times, even in towards the last beacon split.
As he's in this corner, as he has been many times before. I mean, we're seeing repetitions here. The same things coming to light for both of these teams. As he's going to want to try and take that kill, rendezvous away, and Comet just use the barrier orb off the contact, but it's coming in elsewhere. Bully picked off from Kitchen. Now it all relies on Inox. Got that 100 HP back, but immediately removed. Anguist able to do what their teammates couldn't, and now it's Ego standing on top of the site. The king overlooking his kingdom as the spike is planted, and Jokers have no real way back in.
They really do not. You need to find it. The door to which the key unlocks and where the key is. Well,
that
God
door is
knows.
closed. They're going to be saving all 3 rifles, just sitting within the confines of A and holding on in towards the next. I think this is a fairly smart decision. We've seen them be able to, make adjustments like this before, or just understand, okay, look, this isn't the chance for us to be taking a round back. All of that space compromise with Bully dropped in Kitchen as well means that there are tumultuous waters you have to cross if you want to get that towards the site.
She's just investigating here.
Yeah.
Does have a rifle. Plenty of credits in the pocket as well, so realistically can swing and try and see if they can find at least 1 or 2. There's players coming across elsewhere in towards Nest. Anguist.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
It's like watching a predator encircle their prey as Inspector Litchi doesn't have like an umbrella or any other gadgets that spin around and can transport him to his enemies. No night vision goggles or X-ray for that matter to see through the walls and take any of those weapons out the hands of the Jokers players. They keep all 3, and they have some credits left to try and work with. And as a matter of fact, the 3 players left standing are the ones towards the top end of the scoreboard, so I think they'll be happy to just keep on going as they have done.
Something to maybe pick off there, as you were saying, Hazard. While the top 3 might be the ones that are doing the best, you've also got to work out or think about how the fact that the bottom 2 are playing more towards B. Is that the weaker side for the side of Jokers?
It's also the Viper and the Killjoy player, so your anchors towards the site. Is there a chance they get injected with more confidence here? Aldrone pushes them off the angle. Azzy just flicks to go for the alarm bot. At the pivotal moment, Anguist gets away with it. Gets away with some damage too, as he still wants to hang on and fight this. But Litchi's opened up B on the other side of the map.
Again, Hazza, look who it is that's been picked up. It's Inox, the Viper, gone. Bully looking to engage off the back of that. Low on kills, low on any confidence potentially, but still trying to re-engage.
And just as Bully fires off those sheriff shots, it makes Ego want to come in, hungry for kills, knowing that there's only a pistol to front his aggression. Comet is the one instead that will feel the blunt force. Now it's another 5 versus 3. Same players, same weaponry. What do they want to go for this time? A lot closer towards the site, a lot more room to work with, but there is still a flank in the form of Anguish to worry about.
There is it's already been dealt with, my goodness. Azzy thrown to the gutter and takes out the alarm bot as well. Yes, there was that information, but what really does it matter at this point? It's another save, it's another drop-off for Jokers. They're not risking it.
Oh, Anguish. This guy will not stop extinguishing the forces of Jokers and looking for this last one on Bully. He's in the middle of no man's land, and Stokesy sends him one step further to the underworld. Flawless from Insight, and Jokers yet to register around this side of the half.
I actually never even thought of that, Hazza. That's such a great point. The fact that Insight have on their attacking have been doing so much, and I was speaking to the ex-E-Masters coach talking about earlier on, and he was telling me how realistically Insight with this B-long default was something that he came up with, and something but wait, he said it was something that gave them such great success.
It's an area of the map that you just want to deny information on. You have an opportunity for a late hit, keeps players dragged over. Here comes Azzy, looking to create yet again. He's been the one to add and destruct, subtract, and all of his health gets taken away. Ego finds the kill, and we'll be looking for a bit more. Can't get it. It's Anguished instead. I mean, this guy used to play Chamber before. Now he's on the Killjoy. More defensive of a role, but still sending it in. Finds the Sentinel the other way in the form of Comet once more. Bully denies, trades back and forth, but for the most part, it favours Insight. That's a ridiculous flick.
I was about to say, I thought, let's not count Bully out just yet, and then maybe we should count Bully out.
I mean, the players are going crazy about it in chat. You'll see in the replay here, as he moves away from it, the dashing from Ego, and look at that from Comet.
It was the fact that it was the classic to do the work. Anguished as well, just not far behind. When do you ever really see a Sentinel being the second entry?
I think in some ways it makes sense. If you want to go for the full execute, you might as well put them at the front line. But I mean, even then, the thing with this composition, or the majority of it, and as we do regularly see on Icebox, is you have those 3 agents for post-plant: your Sova, your Viper, and your Killjoy. You have to find someone to open up the site, and it was Ego in fairness, but Anguish 25 and 11. Here comes the timeout from Jokers. Can they reset the mental and find a way back through? This is Insight pick. We do have to reiterate that, but I mean, the promise was there. They had the lead on the half.
That's the thing, though, Hazard. They did have the lead in the half, and yes, we've seen Jokers do well on a defensive side before. But, like, I don't know, something about it, Jokers don't fill me with confidence this half. It feels as if, again, like, Insight Gaming, the way that they've been playing, they've just been playing it perfectly. I've not seen much of I've not seen much to fill me with confidence, but at the same time, after this timeout, things might change, because this is now where the Jokers have a free reign of let's test exactly what Insight are up to, and on top of that, I mean, Insight go to 11.
It's more difficult to test from your defender's side, though, however, because Insight Gaming can just play around with the conditioning a little bit. Stokesy will be aware of that as well, and the fact that the timeout has been called, had a moment to just cool things down, talk with his own players. Like we were saying about Jokers, though, I mean, on the defensive half, they should look better for the comp that they have. I mean, as he needs to be performing on the chamber as he has done, we're seeing the alarm bot down here in mid. Stokesy's just going to take all of the liberties that he can with this and adds a little sting to the tail as he's moved in through Boiler. And Bully's not aware. His util drops and so does he. The site opened up and, Insight just run riot.
Yeah, exactly. And they've lost out. They made on taking an extended piece of land. Maybe not to be advised, as Hazzy. Inox get upgrades. Eagle ready to swing as well. Inox the better of the two in terms of HP, but I don't think they know how far Eagle is.
Yeah, or where Stokesy is, for that matter. Look how deep this guy's already gone to spawn. Azzy, somewhat aware. The recon does confirm, but that's 4 for Stokesy. Slipped between the lines, read between them the IGL, the man with the paper and pen in hand, and he crafts out Yet another perfectly written round from front to back. It's good reading if you're an Insight fan, but a hard watch for Jokers as things have fallen apart on this defensive half.
I've just caught eye of exactly what's going on. Anguish 25 and 12 has fantastic. And for this round, Insight, what we're expecting from them to really slow down the pace, find out exactly what Jokers were talking about in that timeout. I mean, and this is for Jokers now to really put their plan into motion.
It's an interesting one as well when you speak about Anguish there and how much impact he's had on this game.
Yeah.
Playing the lurk role right now on the attacking side, just coming up with so many kills in the late round, at least the majority of the time. Seeing Azzy here posted up on the op, in through mid. A tale as old as time itself, but we do need to see that step up from him. And I think a lot of the success that Jokers have does ride on him performing. And it's something that we've not been treated to just yet. But that will come to a close. Best player in the server, yep, they're out of it right now. And Azzy's the one to have found the kill.
Big one. Because that's the lockdown offline. Siege no. Oh, I was about to say Siege not close.
It is available.
No, but wait. While those lurk are gone, Stokesy has went on a lurk themselves, found themselves all the way up to kitchen.
Yeah, but it's not control which they have free reign over. The trademark was placed there by Azzy as he rotated around, and Stokesy's actually just respected this, can hear the bleeping and blooping of the trademark, and has moved away off the back of the sound cue. The Killjoy lockdowns traded almost immediately as Anguish looks to move through into the site. This isn't a fake, this is where things are happening, but as he does get taken out, Stokesy knows the trademark isn't there anymore, now moves towards kitchen, as both lockdowns have expired.
Oh, there has been one player detained. It is literally, but one thing to think about is Stokesy moved all the way through kitchen in towards spawn and misses the timing actually. Oh, the shock dart, not quite there, but I'll tell you what it is. Oh, the guns and everything coming alive.
It hooks! How on earth has he stuck it the whole way through? Stokesy's flank needed to be that little bit quicker. We'd already seen the first tap onto the spike when this guy had barely touched the enclave of defenders spawn, and yeah, the guns rained off. They didn't have the kills, they were players down, but he just sticks it through the gap in the wall.
I'm too focused on the crosshairs and the fight. I'm not even watching the progress bar going across the top of the screen. We're actually having to see, I believe, a little quick P10.
I think it might be a tech issue. And to be honest, I would not blame them if someone's just thrown their mouse across the LAN hole after that, but yeah, well, I don't know.
What a way to give Jokers their first round and a half.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is, right? It definitely is. And this could be the real kicker for confidence as well. The main issue for me here is that Jokers have picked up the round, but it's a flimsy one to build foundations on. Other than confidence alone, it needs to be a wake-up call. They need to do something a bit differently here, because if Inox hadn't have won it out on the technicality that is the objective itself, the defuse, they didn't have the player numbers. They were losing out on those fights, and the approach that they've brought through on the defensive half thus far hasn't been working out.
Yeah, and we also need to kind of be sitting down and having a look and having a little bit of, I guess for Jokers, this is a bit of a decent spot, because now they can actually sit there and come up with an even better plan. It's not just 60 seconds. It's I mean, for however long this is going to last.
We don't know.
We don't.
We have to fill the gap with whatever we can, and yeah, that diffuse in many ways reminds me of a pint of milk, Cairo.
Oh, don't. Please don't.
It went past your eyes.
Oh, God. One thing that I was going to say, though, or I kind of try and strum up a conversation about, is what did Jokers actually change on that round to make things a success? I mean, the aggression from Azzy through mid is one thing that we need to talk about.
And that was a win condition for them as well, right? On the last time that they played this against Click, another top-seeded team with, Jokers not being rated too highly by many people coming into this one, but definitely having the experience necessary to build some kind of a deep run. Yeah, you saw Azzy there, took the first pick, but then it was the response from Stokesy that I really liked, going to re-challenge that late, and then as soon as he knows the trademark isn't there because he'd already collected the information, playing the lurk. The timing was a little bit off, and you can get into all the details of that when you look at how the round was won for Jokers, but in terms of what they actually want to do from this defensive side to win, it's, get Azzy in those positions and get him finding kills. The eco here for them, not amazing, but he has the tour de force. And, I mean, look how many ults are coming online here for Jokers right now.
Yeah, exactly. What is that? See, I don't care who. Oh, Benjo Val, what a hero, by the way. A shout out Benjo. I know it's going to be like 3 minutes later, but if you see this, Benjo, much love to you, brother.
I mean, yeah, at this point in time, we are just being drip-fed messages from Twitch chat to fill the gap between rounds. And are you taking your shoes off?
Listen, you know what? I'm going to kick back.
Stretching your feet out.
Yeah.
Time for a spa day almost.
Quick, listen, there is a spa hotel. I've stayed at it before.
What,
Nice.
Anywhere near Kettering or not really? Apparently we're throwing to a break. One of the headsets of one of these players is no longer functional. People are saying it might be Jaff. Not too sure what it is. But we will be going to a short break. When we return, Jokers with an opportunity here to build a very, very close round that ended up getting picked up for them, but it is something from which they can build. The ult's coming online, advantages for them to take, going to a 2-minute break, but when we return, hopefully, we'll have the game for you. Insight versus Jokers currently leading 11-8. I've just got my foot tangled around the headset, but it's okay. I've broken free. Can Jokers break free from the lead being held over their head right now?
Yeah, I mean, Hazza, I will be honest, I don't know how you got your foot tangled in a headset, but we'll talk about that one later.
I mean, look, we had headset troubles themselves here for Insight Gaming. That's the only reason the tech pause came through. Either way, Azzy now with the tour de force, and this is what we wanted to see. Him posted up on an angle, hard scoping like a little nerd under the wet, dark, dingy little dank hole that he sits in, but the shot doesn't sit inside. Stokesy is wide of the mark.
It's extremely wide, Hazza. You may as well have just said it. Started chanting Sibo almost. Hunter's Fury comes through. Howsey not missing. Takes out Stokesy. Eagles got traded on towards Azzy. The Op not doing the work. Bully not doing theirs either. And now they're going to just head beeline straight towards site with Comets there. They're trying to play tricky. I don't even know what they're trying to play, but they're trying to play against it.
Yeah, time more than anything else, right? Need to delay it to just give Jokers an opportunity to get the bite back that they need.
Oh, behind you.
It was the alarm bot from mid that caused the issue. Here comes Bully. Up close, Ego holding from the top side, so Anguis now knows. Can reposition, is worried about a player crossing through spawn, but it's already happened. Halsey's found that kill. Ego now isolated. Many angles to worry about, but many players now ducking into their pockets to try and reload those weapons. Inox getting one, but like you say, both players very low, and here comes the util. It is picture point perfect. The shock dart to the corner. Inox claims that one. Snakebite is there. Needs someone to just stick this out. That man will be Bully. And the man for the round yet again is Halsey.
Comes up time and time again, Hazza. How many times have we seen Halsey make a play that realistically wins out the round? A really big important player so far, and that's why they're topping their team at the top of that leaderboard.
Yeah, we expected that man perhaps to be Azzy. I think he got caught out reading the minimap there. At least that would be my sort of immediate interpretation of the delayed flick that he brought out. Joker's now within 2. It seems as if that pause in play hasn't cost them any momentum whatsoever. Some ultimates invested, but yeah, the change in setup isn't too surprising here. The alarm bot in mid last time around couldn't collect anyone because of the wall. Bully has adjusted this. He's sitting deeper on B. It's an immediate challenge towards A from Jokers, but they peel back. The rotate coming through, and the same can be said for Insight, who are now lining up to take B, second round in a row.
It's just the same B default that we've been seeing. The spike slowly making its way there. There is one more Wally? One more volley for Bully. It's not to be anymore as Anguis gets taken out though. The swing coming through just misses out. Comet gets the trade on towards Stokesy. Viper's Pit invested. It will be a 3 versus 3, but Rez is still in the pocket of the Sage of Jokers.
And I think you can probably take this kill towards Snowman fairly easily. I'm just wondering whether Litzy can maybe get a lineup into that corner and find this player. The res comes through to Inox. It is uncontested. No spam back through. Azzy looking to clear one of these close corners. Will he be aware of it? Trademark goes in. It hasn't been broken just yet. Both players lined up. Information is there. Ego round the back and he sweeps them off their feet. Halsey needs to go big yet again, and I just don't think he's got enough bullets left in the tank to even do it, let alone the fuel. Insight with their 12th. And now 3 map points before they take their pick.
I still wouldn't count out Jokers at this moment in time, Hazza, but the only thing that is making me start to have a little bit of, how would I put it, not hard feelings, but a little bit of doubt, a little bit of sorrow in my heart is the fact of the buy. Let's look at what Jokers have. 3 rifles, 3 of them all on lights, except they're going to feed to Azzy here. Yeah,
Comet has fed the beast. Azzy needs to become the beast right now because it's turned from the lion in his kingdom to a domesticated cat. A house cat, almost. Not feeling as homely as he was before, and there we have it. The shot's not quite connecting. That first rifle tossed to the ether, and Comet now has to do it with just the Sheriff.
Comet does have to do it with just a Sheriff. Can't quite get towards the rifle. The bullets coming through. A laser beam coming in as well, but Anguis may as well be a laser beam. So accurate. Finds Comet here. It's 3 versus 5, and well, it is really looking bleak.
Seen Halsey in this position before be able to do something. Inox gets one, trades it out. There is the shot from Halsey. The ringer on this round, but still a player down. Here's the drop inside the site. Spike out in the open. Bully doubling up. Jaff through the flank in mid. Joker's just sitting firm right now. They need to get a little bit extra. Bully tries it, but that is all. Try as he might, they cannot resist. Insight able to take their pick.
Yeah, they are, and Hazza, you can see exactly why. Insight, like Icebox, as soon as they went onto their attackers half, they only lost 2 rounds? What's that, 8 rounds to 2?
Yeah.
It's a big, big half from them, and that's why they're able to close it out. Moving on to the next map might be a bit different.
Yeah, the landscape definitely a lot different here. Icebox just starting us off. I think we saw a good half to open from Jokers. They showed promise, they laid out their plans, and they executed them fairly well. A couple of missteps here and there, and yeah, it was a completely different ball game by the time they went on the defensive side. I said coming into this game as well that I think the way that they call the structure of this team does lean in more to that attacking play style. And while yes, there is still an argument to be made for the defensive capabilities, especially when you look at Azzy on the chamber, unable to replicate the fiery form which he demonstrated yesterday, and I don't think that's necessarily too surprising. A very, very high bar which he set for himself, but we'll have to see if that can improve.
Yeah, there's a reason why you call those games life games, right? Because they don't come they don't come often.
Lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place or on the same map at least.
Exactly. Few and far between. It wasn't as if it was Azzy who like kind of was supported through utility. It was Azzy doing the work.
Yeah.
But while I just give the thumbs up, and I realised that I'm actually on camera. That was Tex giving us the sign that we're going to go for a quick 5-minute breaks, and then we'll get into map number 2. Hello, Overclockers, and welcome. Oh, screw this. Where's EPIC when you need him?
Welcome back to EPIC38 for VALORANT Beacon. I am Hazza, joined by my duo, KairoCast. And we are bringing you the second map of this best of three in the lower bracket between Insight and Jokers. Insight,
Yes.
a map up, taking their pick on Icebox. Now we go to a second map of Haven, this being Joker's choice. And well, with the creative minds that they possess, a map like this, 3 sites of the choosing, every single little last minute detail to be played around with. I think this could be perfect for them.
Could be perfect for them. It is their pick,
Yeah.
but you've also got a conductor like Stokesy in the server,
Yeah.
who is one mind, one body. He is the hive mind controlling Insight, and that might be a little bit stronger than 4 big brain ideas coming and trying to fire things into the pot. You've got leeks, you've got onions, you've got lentils, and then next thing you know, the broth is spoiled.
You said 4. Who are you sort of putting out here and
I don't
saying
know,
they aren't the smart player within the group?
Listen,
You've singled one out.
I'm not answering. I'm not
Yeah,
answering.
I know. Fair enough. Look, we'll find out later on. I guess we can go and ask the question after this series. But I mean, if it is Jokers that make it through, it's such a long road for them now. Experiencing defeat already, just quickly looking at what the vetoes are exactly. If we are to go the distance, it's Ascent. The perfect 50-50 last map to head into. Haven does bode well for them. Like I said before, IGL's paradise. You've got so much to play with on your attacking side. I believe they're going to be starting out on the defense, which will make it a little bit more difficult. But as long as they can still find some value here, I favour them to do so. This was the last map that they played in the series against John Howard, so if you needed to inspire some confidence and, you know, have that recency bias, I guess, as well, that confirmation that, okay, this is a map we're feeling comfortable on, get the repetitions in and feel solid about it, then, I mean, everything is there. It's just about taking that initiative and taking those steps forward.
They won out Haven pretty convincingly against John Howard as well. That's one thing that has to be said. But John
levels. Right?
It's John Howard versus Insight, and realistically, you're going to favour, or you're going to look better versus John Howard rather than your Insight. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful. You can see it in the seeding. You know that's going to be the case. A lot of the viewers watching will think the exact same thing. And it's all about the ideas that come through for Insight, I think. Who starts on the attack, who starts on the defence. I imagine because this is a Joker's pick, Insight will be starting on the attack. And let's see how they kind of translate their ideas.
It means Insight have also now had back-to-back attacking halves. And looking at what the defensive half was like there for Jokers on the previous map, really not looking ideal whatsoever. We are going to see a role change, however, and one of the players that we highlighted a lot on Icebox is going to be swapping over, as he won't be on the chamber. I still think there's an argument to be made for that agent on a few different maps, Icebox being one of them, and it does lean more into what his playstyle is. But on Haven, it's a little bit different. The story's different, especially on the attacking side. You can't be that same guy to make those entries, cover that ground the same way that you have their sort of A and C site with that box a little bit further back than the main entry point and the dash really to cover that ground.
Already just a reminder of the brackets and how things are looking next in line, waiting in that grand final, but more importantly, Control waiting in the lower bracket grand final.
Lower bracket final, right? The grand final, then only one away, next in line, having stamped their ticket to that previous in the game that we saw, you know, about an hour or so ago now. And I mean, we've got players kicking around from all the different teams. We've got JKG just loitering near the production booth, just trying to collect the thoughts and really scout out, I guess, this matchup. That's one of the benefits that Control Esports have, you know, having that extended stay in the upper bracket, because there aren't really any VODs that you can look at whatsoever to, you know, have a look at your performance, break it down and how exactly things are. So They are going to need to make the most of every advantage that they currently have.
Yeah, well, in terms of...
Ooh.
Look at this.
Saturday night. We've dropped down the lights and it's time to get into these last few games. We've gone sort of dark mode here, I guess. And there we are. Straight back on it. The broadcast has become a lot more pale.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with me.
Yeah, like no sunlight, right?
Exactly,
it's just an artificial light in front of us the whole time around us. We are just waiting to get into this game. A couple of PC problems, perhaps. Hopefully, they can be resolved.
Yeah, 100%. Well, apparently, it is going to be a little bit of a wait, but at the same time, there's a lots of theory crafting that we can bring in towards this one, Hazza.
I mean, we've got some interesting characters in the lobby. For just to amuse chat a little bit more, we had one of the Bonk players come in. We had Russell Westbrook come in.
What a guy. What a guy, Hazza. Maybe John Wright can come in.
Maybe. We don't need someone that's shooting threes. We need Jokers to shoot for a three-mapper, I think, is the thing that we'll be looking for.
We should try. Where's Shano and Pal? Get them in the coaching slot.
Oh, I don't know, man. I mean, the guy's right there. I can see him. He's literally just stood over there, deep in conversation with JKG. What do you think they could possibly be talking about?
They're definitely talking about Pal's rugby stories.
Really?
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Okay.
What do you think, Pal's? Now, this one time, my back. You know, I've been playing so much rugby, mate. My back's going to have to bend. Have to bend forward and stretch my back. You know.
While we're still waiting for the PC, we could call them on. Do you think we could actually just do a player interview? I think that would be good content.
Be cool.
Do you want to do that?
Oh yeah, Pal.
Right.
Well, get Pal.
JKG. Get JKG. Why don't you come over here? Let's do a live player interview.
You can take this. I'll step out for a minute and I'll let Pal in. There you go.
All right. Pal, from what you've seen in that previous game, what can you really break down about Icebox? Then coming into Haven, you've got quite a few leaders within the server here. If you were in that position, leading from the front yourself, what would you be saying?
I think it's going to be a great game, first of all. It's going to be a great best-of-3 series.
Best of three? You're expecting that last map?
Yeah, it's got to go 3 maps. If it is, I'm going to be incredibly disappointed. Both from a personal aspect of seeing a lot of my friends and a lot of people I know have a lot of experience being able to actually face off against one another, but also just looking at both of these teams, as you mentioned. You've got experienced players. You've got leaders that are able to think about the game and constantly be trying to adapt, and that's what people should be looking out for. That's the aspect that is going to change the game. Both teams will come in with a game plan. They've been practicing. They have their ways of doing things. We've been seeing that actually Insight Gaming have been doing really well on their Icebox attack, struggling a little bit on defense. I know for a fact they've been talking, they've been discussing, they have their plans for how to deal with it. Okay. Also on the other side, you've got Jokers. They're well led by Comet. They have plans. They've got a lot of people there individually who are able to adapt on the fly during the mid-round to actually come up with things to counter whatever Insight throw at them. It's going to be down to the success. Who can come up with those adaptations on any of these maps?
And I think that's especially for Haven as well, when you look at it as a map in general. And then they're going to be starting out on the defensive half. And I think that this is something that we have to mention, because when you look at how the attack played out for them on the previous map, and then, coming into that defensive half on Icebox, they look to struggle quite a bit. And you have back-to-back attacking halves here for Insight as well. And when you speak of practice, those repetitions and what these teams will have brought forward, I think it's also fair to say that Insight are probably a little bit better scrimmed than Jokers.
Yes and no. Better scrim you can define in sort of different ways in terms of...
Yes, this is true.
What value they've got from scrims. Jokers are back with probably having slightly better practice overall, but then Insight have probably had more time together.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's about how they've used that time, really. With the maps they've got coming up, going into Haven, I think this is going to be a great map. I'm really excited to watch some of the clash of ideas we're going to get together. Seeing how you obviously expect lots of teams to default towards A-Long. We've seen that a lot of the time. See what they can do with that sort of pressure. Start to get people like Bully lurking towards Garage.
I think it'd be interesting to see what comps we have here as well, for that map, because when you look at Icebox, the one that we've just seen, very rigid in the pool of agents that you have to tap into there, whereas Haven, a bit more free reign. And speaking of free reign, we're going to rope Cairo back in. We had Pal in a moment for the desk, for the deep analysis. Thank you so much. And he waves farewell, and we can wave hello to this second map in the series between Insight and Jokers. Anything interesting there that you want to pick apart from what Pal said specifically and maybe add to?
Come on. trying to compare me to a brain like that.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is, you know, is there anything that really stands out to you from what was said, and anything that we need to highlight finally before we get into this?
I liked his little talk about leaders and kind of what they can bring in towards a map, especially like with a map like Haven having that. We are ready though, Hazza, rather than me trying to wrap up some sort of point.
Yeah.
We'll wrap this up and head straight in towards this map.
That we will. The question about agents now will have an answer. What Jokers want to try and bring. Comet is going to be on the Astra, of course, and yeah, I don't expect Azzy to play Yoru here. I mean, I've had a couple of nice conversations with the guy, but I think he's trying to wind us up here just a little bit with the Yoru pick. I fully expect Jet to be the choice instead of the Chamber that we saw last time around. I mean, Chamber still with a Rendezvous, if you think about A sewers, can probably find a way to play around it and get value, but Jet will be the choice. And when we do flip over towards the attacking half, it's the amount of ground that this agent can cover, and also the verticality in terms of their involvement as well, which will be great for making those entries happen.
Well, as we head in towards this, is pretty much two equal comps, Hazza, with the difference being obviously that controller, and I would actually favour the Astra so much more. Yeah,
I like the layers of utility that Astra brings here as well, and I think that she's also an agent that has great synergy with the Breach. Both teams picking into that one, but Omen not quite doing the exact same. They're more individualistic in the way that they combine, I think, those two, because you've got the Paranoia and the Fault Line to split up a lot of angles inside the site, but the Gravity Well that Comet can introduce, and then Inox playing off the back of it with that Fault Line can, you know, sentence a player to death very quickly, and with Azzy bearing on down using those tailwinds, another possibility there too. Looking at the setup, seems to be a fairly standard one. Bully on the Killjoy playing the mid control, and that heavy presence towards A that we had Pal note there in the pre-show.
That's a nice little segment to bring into the whole thing.
It is nice, isn't it?
Maybe we could. I wonder if maybe we could get permission to do that again for the next match.
Maybe. I mean, it depends if there's as much of a gap. There was a technical issue, but that all goes out of the window now. We're into the final map potentially. If Insight are able to win it out, it's the second one here. Second chance for Jokers to get something done on their own pick, and Insight will set the tone immediately, sending it through and sending Comet and Bully to the spectator screen.
Yeah, certainly is already the spike being planted. Insight coming through with bullish force, Hazza, and I mean it is really threatening in this moment in time. Inox just the head escaping, especially with a player close by. Lit Shape now doubled up. What are the players thinking?
They want to try and re-clear through Garage here in mid because they know it's compromised, but there just is not enough time. Finally given the green light to go, but both of them lined up. Litchi taking down each and every one. Flawless for Insight Gaming. What a way to get off to a start here on your attacking side.
Off to a flyer, and I mean, this is what the attacking side can do already. 2 rifles bought up, that's a big investment as well as a build-up. No, make that 3 rifles, oh my goodness.
I mean, they have introduced it here fully. Having those rifles into what could be a potent bonus. We'll have to see how that works. A couple of ghosts as well, just to keep them hot on the heels. Insight Gaming taking the pistol round. Very nicely done. Should look to be rinse and repeat. The C-Long Orb, not one which is going to be tested too much by Jokers. You've got your controller players anchoring C. There's no one for an aggressive peek, and as he is elsewhere.
As he is elsewhere, a little just ping out, and there's a lot of util hitting through. It's a very, very fast take here, Hazza.
Comet up close, hasn't been cleared, has a chance to take down Ego, but it's all ifs, buts and maybes. Not happening as the same 2 players looking to keep a grasp of C immediately lose it as they did in the previous round. Insight Gaming just going in, pedal to the metal. And there is absolutely no breaks in the way that they've been playing this. It's just a straight hit every single time. How does that conditioning then set up the bonus? We'll have to see.
Yeah, exactly. On top of that, we've also got to think about exactly what happens with all these rifles potentially getting through. Maybe not so much every single one. Halsey just does not check default. Litchi will collect. 1 player left, and it's Inox. Realistically, we're looking at a ghost with low HP. Not going to happen, or not much going to happen there. All rifles getting through, I think, Hazza.
Literally sending out hot metal onto these players, peeking absolutely every angle, going uncleared yet again, which is the downfall of his counterpart. And now we look towards that bonus. It's a very, very dangerous one. Jaff on a Bulldog and light armor is the weakest of your 5 players. And even then, he's yet to hit the deck. A full investment from Jokers, but you lose this one here. Yeah, it's the defensive half, but things get worrying very quickly.
Right, nice little unfold dart out towards Amen. Clears everything, and nobody's shown presence, knows it. Well, Insight will probably be more to a heavier stack on C, but this is where the conditioning's been built up. Jokers are expecting this. If they break this turret like they do here, then realistically there's so many question marks, like spaces that we see all across the map, that how do Jokers make a decision?
I think it's smartly played here by Jokers, though, it has to be said. They've not decided to change things up. Could very easily be sent into that feedback loop, but it's not one that they'll bite. Here is the push. Litzy has become the entry player at this point in time, just wanting to take absolutely every single duel because he wins them out by default. And as that happens, the spike goes down on the default plant, and those players look to move towards C Connector, clearing out, but it's the opposite end from which Jokers are attempting this retake 2 versus 4.
Yeah, it's not only that, the fact that we've seen the B to C link taking control of it means the players can go through garage and go back in towards mid. These 2 remaining players, though, as I was about to say, looking to save, gets taken out completely. Howsey up on Heaven, on 8. Will at least get Stokesy, but realistically, it's consolation prizes at this point.
Yeah, and I don't think you're even going to get a gold sticker for that one. Howsey looking for the next kill, gets it, finds Litzy. That is an opening from which he can scramble away to save this Vandal. Should hear the footsteps coming through. If not for the spike audio cue, might get caught out, but just post in the corner. No need to re-peek, and he won't do it. Literally on an absolute tear, and you see even there, as he tries to fake the dash, that he's challenging the site, but there's so much control and so many player numbers for Insight. They post up these crossfires and absolutely nothing going.
I just feel as if, like, the way that Insight are controlling the map, like, is genuinely so, not just, I don't want to say interesting, because that's a poor word to see it, but it's just like they are in command of the full map. Jokers are helpless to what's happening, and Insight just creating these little points where you're like, what is happening? And they're forcing Jokers to do something, deal with it.
I mean, Insight are just feeling very confident, but if this doesn't have a streak of confidence, I don't know what does. Comet is just waltzing about in mid and ripping the head clean off of Anguished. A nice opener to take. No Sages on this map as we had Icebox. You cannot bring that player back into the fray. The damage dealt, and now they're looking to swing one back.
They don't know if anybody's moved through because of the turret. As he found Stokesy chiming in. Bully at least gets one back. Oh my goodness, Comet. Not another headshot collected. It's a knuckle-cracking round. Knuckle-cracking, head-cracking, skull-cracking. Insight left with one player.
I mean, Jokers have got a pair of knuckle dusters on. We said about taking off the hand wraps. Maybe they slipped on a little gold brass knuckle under the desk when nobody was looking. Now a 3 versus 1. They're playing this very, very patiently, Jokers. Just respecting the space, waiting for the spike to get planted, not feeding in any kills whatsoever, and allowing Ego to isolate, making this as difficult as possible for the Jet player, and I love it. A full set of rifles as well now. Nearly Comet just needing to get an upgrade. The tap goes again, but still the players do not bite.
Not fully biting yet, and the fact that time is ticking away, they can tell exactly what's happening, and they're getting ever so closer to the situation. Nice stun, ping out. They see exactly where Ego is, and they will pick up this rounder first, and it is a thrifty.
And it's situations like that as well, where what Powell was saying on the pre-game on the desk, you know, come to light. It's the mid round and the late round there, especially where Jokers just play such a brilliant situation. Yeah, you're getting kills, you know, in an individualistic way. That's what you have to do when you're on the Sheriff. I love this from Comet as well, to just push up and take that kill, but then it's a case of just completely understanding that we have to give ourselves a 100% chance at winning the round. Leave nothing down to chance.
I think as well, you have to play your luck. And something that I loved from Insight, though, was the fact that they smoked off the turret, right, that they knew was close, cut the noise. How are you realistically...
It's calculated risks.
It's so calculated, and it's massive, because not only you're seeing it's a risk, right, but the trades are ready to happen straight away. Realistically, they're thinking to themselves, we're going to lose max one player, and they lose so much more.
I think as well, on that previous round, they've been hindered a little bit by the lack of control towards A lobby, something which Insight have now started to fight for a little bit more, an important part of the map if you want to sell fakes later on. Similarly, in many ways, to be long is on Icebox, something which they are engaging with on a regular basis. Comet now feeling the confidence, going for yet another aggressive peek, but blocked out by Bully, his teammate. A clash of shoulders, and it's that clash of heads now which results with a trickle of blood off the forehead of Jokers.
As he has found the turret, but realistically, you're taking away the space from behind. It means that Insight will have to think about the space behind for the time being, but they're focused on what's in front. Rolling Thunder invested. The players not actually wanting to go for a quick retake at this moment, but they certainly will be coming through with a Hunter's Fury. Jack finding Azzy.
Yeah, I was thinking the util combo would be there to support Azzy retaking, but he does get taken out by the spam. We had a Hunter's Fury, Fault Line, Aftershock, every single piece of damaging utility bar the Nano Swarms invested on C to try and cause some issues, but Insight, they're able to navigate them beautifully. And now Jokers will just be trying to play some exits towards spawn and save those weapons into the next.
Remember, a lot of that conditioning towards the C site, probably why a big component to the decision making of buying up an op. It's good on Haven anyway. You could probably post that up anywhere you wanted. I really want to see it maybe posted elsewhere from C, although that's where the conditioning is. And Insight, again, controlling the map and making it work.
I mean, you say that the conditioning from Insight is to be making these C hits, and I think that's why we now have Bully playing a much more defensive role there and bringing the utility away from mid. But the reason why Insight won that game is because they took some good control towards A, and they were able to just send it into a full execute, not something which Jokers have been tested on just yet, and they were not prepared for it.
Not only that, though, they get the pick on C, right? They take the initial presence in towards mid, and then they get the pick on Garage, which is towards the C side of the map, and they're like, well, they're going to rotate there, so let's just go away.
I mean, it's a complete overcommit from Comet there as well, and now we're seeing an operator in the hands of Azzy. Needs to find something extra with this immediate fault line to make the A control a little more tested. Pops the dash, moves up onto the off angle, just waiting to spot a player, but all three of them have crossed. Jaff with the From the Shadows finds one in spawn, and now we have players down in sewers that need to recommit. Brilliant timing from Halsey onto Stokesy. That's one back, but still, the site not fully under their control.
They've realised that the players are going long, so they've really put presence in towards short. Halsey playing with the devil there, just running across, all the utility committed to this. As he's got their opposite number, there goes Ego, but Litchi doing the exact same. So now the spike committed.
They have no idea about the position of Anguist. It's a 3 versus 3, and he's slowly lurking up sewers as he is testing to try and find this player, and I expect him to pick it up, holding it down the angle. Peak not coming through just yet. Shots traded, and they win out on every single front. Insight take them all and take the 5th.
Take the 5th, is that?
Jokers left pleading the 5th.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say the 5th. Is that not where you don't want to speak? Because if I was Jokers, I mean, I wouldn't have a word to utter at this moment in time.
I mean, you say that. There should be a timeout here, I think.
Yeah,
a time to recollect those thoughts, because things haven't been working out for them, Cairo. Is there anything that you'd like to highlight here?
I mean, in terms of the read, it's been, from what I've seen, they've not been biting onto the kind of conditioning and stuff like that too much. It's been individual mistakes. One mistake which kind of starts this waterfall effect, and Insight so good at getting an initial advantage and then extrapolating it to its maximum.
Yes. And it's not even been through like trading that out. It's the awareness. Once they have all of the chips in their corner, knowing best where to place them. And now we expect the execute to come in. Ego's already used up the dash, but instead will be using it to fast track himself elsewhere, and Owl Drone to re-clear sewer. Bully has all the utility here. And there is positioning gained here on C Long as well. Just sat on the other side of the alarm bot as he goes a step too far. Has to move away. No blades left to speak of. Vulnerable in more ways than one. Just heads back to the site.
Yeah, but look at B, look at what we're seeing from the KG all the way through. Anguist, the locker, can they engage? Yes, they can. Gets Comet, completely taking it. Throws a big, massive question mark, throws it all into a little bit of carnage. This is an equal round for Jokers, but realistically, they don't know where to look, they don't know what to do. All the guns coming alive, and it's Jaff to get 2.
Really nice recon that they've been using in towards the site there as well. Insight to collect the information, wanting to delay it as much as possible to find a shot from the position. Halsey gets one onto default. Stokesy down, and now things looking ever so slightly more tenable. Can't quite get a grip on the Vandal just yet, and there are players queuing up to make this even more difficult. Nano swarms ticking off one by one. The dark cover one way makes it even more impossible as Halsey drops. Bully, I don't think he's going to be getting this, and not even going to attempt it. Takes the Vandal with him and heads back for another save.
Yeah, it's like, I don't even know, I was going to say like getting a precious gem and straight away you don't want to gamble for any more. You're up a tenner, or do you know what, you'll take that.
Yeah, I guess so, but even then the parallel is, okay, you have it, but this isn't a gem that you can cash in anywhere. It's worthless, right? It's sort of like a sympathy prize, as would be placing in the tournament where they are currently in the lower bracket and moving out, you know, less the beacon points that they collect anyway.
Well, now as we are in this situation with the timeout coming through, this realistically, you can make the argument for it to come a couple rounds earlier, Hazard, but at least it has come through for Jokers. And as they sit down and they talk about what's going wrong, I mean, do you think like maybe it's more of a we play for the retake rather playing for the initial aggression?
I think more than anything, it's having a set style of ideas and ideology, something behind what it is that Jokers are trying to do right now, because it seems as if there is no game plan. It is just that very defaulty defensive style, rotating the setup a few times, putting Bully in different places, but nothing is really seeming to stick for them. Azzy, the player you also expect to be getting involved with a lot of these kills, not quite able to hit the same kind of form just yet. Has the credits for an operator, buys into it as well, but on the opposite end, Insight Gaming have been doing everything perfectly. Jaff 10-1, Litchi 9-2, untouchable right now, but it's not been anything complicated, I think it's fair to say.
It's literally doing the base, I mean,
the basics to a very high level.
Yeah, exactly. I think like Ascent and Haven are those type of maps though. You don't need to do anything too crazy. As long as you do the basics right, you kind of work on your defaults, you use your conditioning and play around with that. We used to call it, it is the IGL's paradise, you know what I mean? This is where your IGL's thrive, and right now Stokesy really is pulling all the strings, the puppet master, we have to say.
Oh, and yet again, it's that exact same recon. Tees off Ego for a hole-in-one, puts a hole in the head of Comet, and now it's only Bully from back plat to try and savour things. Rolling Thunder comes in, but a moment too late. Inox still able to capitalise. Aftershocks traded, looking for a wider swing, but there are so many players here to cover. He's headshot 2 of them, only taking down 1, and it won't be enough. Ego finds 3, Insight finds 7, and they are running away with this game.
The deficit just gets larger and larger here, Hazza. In this situation between the two teams, honestly, it's as if Jokers are just borrowing and borrowing from the bank, and they just cannot pay back at all.
That they can't. And they're on borrowed funds right now as well, looking at what the investment is. Bully with the judge, swaps it out for a sheriff. Cheers, mate. It's a full set, a full flush of pistols. That was the one round that they picked up, the one little hint of inspiration that could be taken. Insight Gaming want to completely disrespect this though, and it seems like A control has already been taken. Comet in round the back, but the first to fall. Can't get the first blood this time around, outright denied.
Oh, Comet sent out of this world, and well, Azzy gets one, Azzy going to be following their teammate.
Hit 2 headshots as well, so there is low HP here on Stokesy, but it won't be enough to drop him, and Inox does instead fall.
Now 3 versus 4 in this situation. Stokesy's maybe realised exactly what's happening as the players try to rotate in towards B to make it quicker towards A. Oh.
Bully just pulls off the angle. They didn't know about him. They did not expect the double up towards C-Link, but it happens. All this round ends up being is Ultimate Orbs in the pocket of Insight Gaming, and an upgrade on those pistols, those sidearms looking a little bit healthier. Every single part right now for this attack is ticking the green boxes for Insight.
Yeah, 8-1. Again, like, at what point, I mean, obviously we know exactly what it is numerically, but at what point do you feel as if it's just a point, it's the position of no return, you can't get back from it?
It's really hard to tell at this point in time, but this Joker's full invest is a chance to get things started. Jaff in towards A Heaven again, using the From the Shadows to do it. Comet up close, Stokesy holding the stun. Azzy here posted up as well. They are crunching from both sides, but Jaff is playing this a lot more passive. You know, he's not actively involved in many ways, slowly moving through, finally called into the action, but is instead the first player forward.
Oh no, but Jaff, come on, there's a player on the side. Finally Stokesy gets the frag, but I mean, at the same time, what does it matter? Halsey from the top row.
Oh. But then gets toppled himself. 10 rounds played, Insight with the vast majority of them. Halsey trying to do something crazy there, and I mean, it nearly comes off, but even at that point, it's still 2 players left to find, and it's such a difficult situation for Jokers because, yet again, it doesn't feel like you're seeing a holistic picture painted.
No.
There's so many different working parts of this team, and each one of them is stacked with potential, whether that's mechanically, methodically, but those just aren't working in tandem here on Haven, and it seems like this might just be the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, well, as he's getting aggressive through mid, and I mean, it feels a little bit like desperation. Dashing through, supported by a Hunter's Fury, already get taken out. There goes Halsey. B completely opens up. There goes Comet as well. As they try to get aggressive, they get struck down and told no.
Oh, like lambs to the slaughter. One by one, every single individual fight taken, Insight win out. Double digits secured inside the first half. We worried about what this defense for Jokers looks like, playing it back-to-back and Insight looking rampant on Icebox.
Yeah.
They've carried it through.
I truly worry. I mean, I don't think, and I hate to see this, I feel as if the mental game, Insight have won it completely.
Yeah.
They look like such an efficient beast. Jokers, when they try anything, I think the mental might be gone. The ball's gone.
And not only are they carrying that momentum through, but they're 3 rounds now from the finish line with 1 yet to play in this half. Jokers completely stacking towards B, only as he posted up outside of A. The read is there. But whether they know it or not, the players are in position. But how many times have we seen this before and it yet to be converted? Stokesy with the Rolling Thunder, in they go. Lockdown for response, but that can be traded out.
It could be traded out. Just waiting for that moment.
Look at both Killjoy players.
Yeah.
So in their hands, there we go. Same as it always is. And what is the decision from Jokers? Do they want to commit?
But it feels a little bit too late to invest. Okay, Azzy. Goes for the dash and updraft. The fact that we aren't actually seeing that, Jaff's just TP'd straight back in. That lockdown may just be a little bit too late for these defenders. The spike's already down. And although there is the Cosmic Divide, this might be the play.
Cosmic Divide is in, but it is beginning to disintegrate, as are the Jokers players. Halsey still finding 2, but that's not enough. Jokers won't collect even a second in this first half. There were ideas there, right? Everything thrown at it right at the final moment, but yet again, it's a congealed ball of ideas which doesn't turn to roll a result.
8 rounds in a row, and that, I guess that streak is yet to be beaten. It could be Hazard if it gets to it, could be 10, and if we hit 10, well, it's all over.
Pistol round, then it's all over, Cairo. We have to be completely realistic here for a moment. If Jokers aren't able to get that first round on the board, you can wave your chances fully goodbye if you hadn't already at this point in time. We've seen 10-2s overturned and 11-1, perhaps a little too shy of the mark in terms of reasonability.
Well, within reason, that's all we ask. What do Jokers do within reason? I mean, realistically, we talk about perfection and stuff like that. You don't want to give up. I guess Jokers are going to be demanded to win every single round that they possibly can. Bonus, anti-eco, pistol, whatever you want to call it. It needs to be won. And I don't know if they
have to win 10 rounds in a row here. I mean, if you give away one round to Insight along the way, the chances are that anything reasonable here can come through. And we're using the same words time and time again, but nothing has changed, it seems, as the half swaps over. Vocab and gameplay. Anguished finding the opener.
I have the spike.
For Jokers, they're just going to respect that. The kill gets taken, and so does the space away from them, needing to look for something else on A.
Feels also that in terms of the read, Insight may have got it ever so slightly wrong, but they're starting to correct that. As we see the Jokers move through on towards A. Well, Insight very close by. They're clearing out mid as well, just to make sure that there's nothing in the corners.
I mean, you can call it a wrong read, but think as well how much utility was expended by Insight to take that first kill. Absolutely nothing. Just Anguish shooting through the smoke, so they'll have all the pieces brought up into it to try and go for this here. And we're seeing Jokers respond in a way by moving towards spawn. It's their own spawn from which these players are now coming in on the retake. 3 down A long as the feet echo in the halls. They begin to hear this, and the paranoia puts Halsey in a whole heap of trouble. The retake coming through, traded out for kills one at a time. The stick getting put through, and Insight sticking it to their opponents. Jokers almost dead and buried. That will be series point as the lower final awaits them.
Map and series point. The lower finals has an even greater task, but not one to be thinking about just yet. One more round to find, and I mean, realistically, it's within reach. It is so within reach. A 12-1 or 13-1 finish. I mean, what a way to lay down the gauntlet for this next match coming up.
It really is. A rematch with Control on the cards. The third time that the teams would have played, once inside groups going the way of Insight, responded in a 2-0 fashion by Control to keep them in the upper bracket. But both teams have experienced defeat since then and now find each other one round away from another potential meeting. Jokers getting the spike down means they can invest full Spectres. It's everything that you could possibly try and get. It might still not be enough.
Could you imagine if Jokers came back now? It would be something amazing. Literally gets Azzy, and here we go. It's just going to start to be that hot knife that we expect. Everyone gets cut down. It's painful. It's not good. It is absolutely bloody here as Insight take Jokers 13-1. 2-0 Hazza. They are heading to the lower finals where Control awaits.
And a few people said that perhaps we were expecting this one to go the distance, but that final kill is the visualization of what we've just seen. Jaff slowly walking through a nano swarm, all the damage and oppression in his face, but Bully is taken out, and that is it. Their own map pick, but they looked far from even second best there at that point in time. I mean, it was two completely different levels from which Insight and Jokers were operating on, and that is exactly why they come into this tournament first seed and give themselves a real opportunity now as sending themselves into that grand final.
It's not only that now, I realistically think that there's not much to talk about from that last game. No. I think we have to look forward for Insight and Control and start discussing exactly what's going to be happening there. I mean, every single match, every single map that they've played against one another has gone pretty far into the late stages. You're talking 14-12s, you know what I mean? Regulation rounds all played out. I mean, the finest of margins to actually kind of, I guess, make a difference, a differential between these two rosters.
And I think you could talk about margins and whatnot for this final game, but it was clear-cut. Insight just completely ran away with things, and there was no looking back whatsoever. It was a series of unfortunate events, unfortunate event after unfortunate event. I think the one round that stood out to me the most was just before we saw Insight swap halves. It was gun round versus gun round, and they won it flawlessly because it was isolated fight after isolated fight, sending Azzy down mid off the back of the Hunter's Fury. There was an idea there, right? But that whole map overcooked, and I'm not sure what the Joker's takeaway from it will be, but it was a severe underperformance, and it's sad to see with the run that they made so far in the tournament, dismantling Clique and setting them off on a different path, which, you know, ended up with them crashing out in the later stages, but one more game to go.
I think for Jokers, they'll be happy they've got top 4. That's the one thing to take away from this. It's the start of the beacon split, but it's the start of the end for us, Hazza, as we head into the second last, the penultimate game of this whole tournament. We are going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with the Lowers final. It's Control versus Insight.
You can be the stars, you can be the stars for me. Show me that you love me like the sky so I can see. Tell me something I don't know, take me where I never go. I wanna know what it'd be like to disappear for a night. You could be the stars, you could be the stars for me. Show me that you love me, let the sky so I can see. You could be the stars, you could be the stars for me. Show me that you love me, let the sky so I can see. Waste your nights in bars, but save the last drink for me. Untouchable and shining far, you scatter like the galaxies. You call me up when it gets late again, like I'm supposed to know where you go. Oh, but it doesn't work that way, no matter what you say. Aren't you until the end? You can be the stars, you can